Hello, everybody. How are we all doing today on this Thursday, September 17th? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12OZSportsRadio.com. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We are live in Baltimore, Maryland. Very cloudy today. Welcome to Birdland, which is home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Who's excited for today's show? Welcome to the 104th show on 12OZSportsRadio.com for my show, Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. Hope you're all having a good week. Very quiet sports day yesterday, but it's actually been a very busy sports week otherwise. And another week flies by. 1 week of the NFL season down. I'll be previewing the second week later on this show. But you got to use promo code 12OZSports. All cash with deposit bonus up to $1,000. For my bookie, let's get started. The Steelers and the Giants recap. There were some things that I did not like from Pittsburgh in that first game. As I talk about here on the 104th show with you guys today. So it was the return of Ben Roethlisberger. And the Steelers in the first half, they were losing against the Giants, and first and second down would always be, let's run the ball with James Conner. Third down, they be in third and 6 or third and longer than that. Let's try and throw the ball on third downs. In the first half of the game, it didn't work. Until they gave Roethlisberger some more of the green light, and then it worked. Ryan Crossing Patterns, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, James Washington, and then it worked. And I'm not going to jump the gun here and say the Steelers are this prime team in the AFC. Because they're not yet. They're not yet. I still question the health of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'll tell you one thing. Actually, there are two things that I saw in this game from the Steelers that I think is going to be proven true this year. That I have to already backtrack myself with this. Number one, the Steelers will always be the Steelers, and the Cleveland Browns will always be the Cleveland Browns. That's one. Number two, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be the better team in the state of Pennsylvania this season, as long as Roethlisberger's healthy. The thing is, the Steelers love their quarterback. And the Pittsburgh media loves him. They do this. Wrap his all arms around him, and on the other side of the state, it's a complete turmoil, and they wish he could get rid of Carson Wentz and throw him on a catapult into another town if they could. But that's not the case with Ben Roethlisberger, because they would rather throw the backup quarterbacks onto a catapult knowing that he's out, and knowing they can't get the job done without him. And another thing is how well Benny Snell Jr. ran the ball. He's the primary back, and I know people want to root for James Conner. But let's be real. Benny Snell Jr. should now be the full down, 3-down cowbell running back. No, he's not the same level as Le'Veon Bell was. But he's got some speed, he's got some toughness, he's got some strength. And that's the way what you need in a 3-down running back. That was another question. Yeah, I know the Giants' defense stinks from the S to the K. I get it. But Snell, there's a reason why the Steelers drafted him in the 3rd round. Because the Steelers, one thing about the Steelers organization is when it comes to skill players, they know how to scout their skill players. And that's why they're going to be fine with Benny Snell Jr. and Juju Smith-Schuster, who I had questions of, and he looks fine. And you got James Washington, Deontay Johnson, and Chase Claypool. Now, Eric Ebron didn't do much in that game, but he was pretty good. Used as a decoy. And the offensive line, Zach Banner done for the year. Steven Wisniewski out. And you got David DeCastro already dealing with injury. They were talking about Ramon Foster. They were talking about Ramon Foster coming out of retirement. Like, let's calm down the brakes on that one. But I got to say, I don't think they're a top 3 team like the Tennessee Titans, Baltimore Ravens, or Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. But let's see how the next few weeks goes, and then I will make that decision. No, I'm not jumping the gun after week 1. And I couldn't agree more with Stephen A. Smith on First Take, big Steelers fan, so I'm pretty patient with that. But now let's get over to the New York Giants side of things. Cameron Hayward, when they were up 16-10 to Steelers, Daniel Jones marches them down the field, gets picked up. Daniel Jones gets picked up by Cameron Hayward. That just simply can't happen. But if there's no Daniel Jones, Giants don't even put up a point on Monday night, because I'm going to tell you something right now, and you guys don't want to hear this. And I know what you want to say. No offensive line. How could you possibly get a running game with no offensive line? Stop. For as great of a running back as Saquon Barkley is or any other running back, you want to tell me that as great as he is, he can't, despite overcoming bad offensive lines, he can't get a couple yards? And I know that defensive front of Pittsburgh's elite. I get it. But I just can't sit here this morning and tell me that Saquon Barkley's all that. And I couldn't agree more with Tiki Barber's comments about him not being a 3-down back and he can't block. I couldn't agree more with Tiki Barber this morning. Barber played for the Giants. And they had other running backs like Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. They didn't get hyped up and they looked. And do you remember their offensive lines looking that great either? And I know, yeah, they had the Super Bowl runs. Yeah, their offensive line looked a lot better then. But even when the offensive line wasn't that good, they were still getting chunks and chunks. But Barkley? And I know it gets against the Steeler front. But the offensive line has to be positive somewhere. If the offensive line was that bad, would the offensive line even protect Daniel Jones that well? That's what I want to know. And I know it's two different things, pass blocking and run blocking. It's totally different schemes, I get it. But if the offensive line was that bad, Daniel Jones would have been on his rear end all night, which he simply was not. And yes, I know the game plan for the Steelers was, let's take care of Saquon Barkley. But if you are that good and that spectacular, then you get it done no matter what. And I know it's only week 1. But I'm starting to get the impression he's a Todd Gurley 2.0, the second. And let me tell you this. You cannot build a football team around this guy. General Manager Dave Gettleman got it all wrong. If Barkley does not pan out, he's not going to sign his contract with the Giants. And if they stink from the SDK, they'll trade him. And then you can build your team around Daniel Jones, which may be better suited off in the long run, because you cannot build a team today in the NFL around a running back. You have to build it around Daniel Jones. You have to. You cannot build a football team off a running back. And yeah, I know look at the Carolina Panthers, you got Christian McCaffrey. But they signed a quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater's a good quarterback. And I know other things like Daniel Jones has got to protect the ball better. Well, he actually did a good job of that, but he's got to limit the turnovers. So, other than that, the Giants were a lot competitive, but both of these teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants, have a long way to go. So, Mike Tomlin outcoached Joe Judge, and here are the stats from the game. Ben Roethlisberger, 21 of 32 passes, 229 yards and 3 touchdowns, 9 yards rushing on 3 carries. Benny Snell Jr., 113 yards rushing on 19 carries. James Conner, 9 for 6. 6 carries for 9 yards, excuse me. Juju Smith-Schuster, 6 receptions for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Conner in the game also got 2 passes for 8. Deontay Johnson, 6 for 57. Chase Claypool, 2 for 39. James Washington, 2 for 34. Daniel Jones, 26 of 41, 279, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. 22 yards rushing on 4 carries. Saquon Barkley, 6 yards rushing on 15 carries. Also caught 6 passes for 60 yards receiving. Darius Slayton, 6 for 102 and 2 touchdowns. Had a nice touchdown pass to Slayton off play action in the second quarter when they went up 10-3. Sterling Shepard, 6 receptions for 47 yards receiving. C.J. Moore and Kaden Smith, 2 receptions for 17 yards each. Evan Ingram was the worst ranked tight end on the field according to PFF. Ingram, 2 passes for 9 yards receiving. Launch him into the sun. He was flat out awful in the game. Evan Ingram's going to be in the doghouse real quickly, though, nonetheless. And Andrew Thomas, the 4th overall pick out of the University of Georgia, was fantastic at left tackle instead of Nate Solder, who opted out of the season, though, nonetheless. Nick Gates was a disaster at the center position for the New York Giants, though, nonetheless. In the 26-16, Pittsburgh Steelers went over the New York Giants, though, nonetheless. Let's move on to the next game recap. Tennessee Titans, Denver Broncos. Simply put, Steven Gostkowski missed 3 field goals and an extra point in the game. Made a 25-yard field goal for the Titans with 17 seconds remaining to give them a 16-14 win over Denver Broncos. It was ugly, but that's how you gotta win games in the NFL. If you're a team like the Tennessee Titans, you have to put wins in the win column no matter what. Especially if, considering me, I'm considering you guys one of the supreme favorites in the AFC, and I think they're going to finish no worse than 3rd in the conference. And I know there's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. I get it. But Tennessee's got to win these close, gritty games in the games that they're supposed to win. And Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry are absolutely fantastic. And if Corey Davis plays like this in the contract year, despite them declining his 5th-year option, look out. Drew Lock wasn't bad, but he was being chased by Jadeveon Clowney and others, Jeffrey Simmons on that end defensive front. Oh, and Kenny Vaccaro and Kevin Byard happened to be very good safeties. Christian Fulton made his debut at corner. You got Adoree Jackson IR. That's a big deal for that defense. But the Titans, I think, are going to be just fine. Mike Vrabel's a very good head coach. And now I'm questioning if Vic Fangio's the guy for the Denver Broncos. But I like how Pat Shurmur's the offense coordinator for Denver. And Drew Lock is, I think, their franchise quarterback. So, it may seem that the Titans may need to find a new kicker, but they're going to keep him around for another week. Ryan Tannehill, 29 of 43, 249 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Rushed for 14 yards on 3 carries. Derrick Henry, 116 yards rushing on 31 carries. 3 passes caught for 15 yards. Corey Davis, 7 for 101. A.J. Brown, 5 for 39. Jonnu Smith, 4 for 36 and a touchdown. Michael Pruitt, a 1-yard touchdown reception in the second quarter. Jadeveon Clowney made his Tennessee Titans debut and looked good with Kevin Byard, Jeffrey Simmons, and other nonetheless I was just mentioning. Drew Lock, 22 of 33 for 260 yards passing and 1 touchdown. He also rushed for 5 yards on 3 carries. Melvin Gordon, the second, 78 yards rushing on 15 carries and a score. Also caught 3 passes for 8 yards receiving. Phillip Lindsay rushed for 24 yards on 7 carries. Caught 1 pass for 11 yards. Fant, 5 for 81 and a touchdown. Jerry Jeudy in his debut, 4 for 56. Tim Patrick, 4 for 29. Deshaun Hamilton, 1 for 18. Cortland Sutton, the star receiver, was out of this game due to an AC joint sprain in his shoulder, though nonetheless. As I've said, head coach Mike Vrabel was out once again for Tennessee. So was offense, according to Arthur Smith. Now, Arthur Smith might be a hot candidate for a head coaching job if he has this Tennessee Titans offense excelling in his second year. Head coach Vic Fangio for Denver was bland, all right. But offense coordinator Pat Shurmur was solid in his debut with the team, and the Broncos fan base liked him after coming from the New York Giants as the head coach last season, though, nonetheless. And here's the thing with Arthur Smith. Shurmur's not going to get a head coaching job again, probably, after being with the Cleveland Browns and New York Giants. But Arthur Smith's like, hey, this guy revived Ryan Tannehill from... He basically revived him from playing real bad with the Miami Dolphins. So, yeah, let's give this guy a head coaching job. Next up, happy days, Mets fans. Happy days. The pain, the torture, it's basically all over. Welcome to the New York Mets sale to Steve Cohen, as I like to call him on Twitter, and other New York Mets fans across the globe on Twitter, Uncle Stevie. The day has come at last for New York Mets fans. The Wolfpads will no longer own the majority of the New York Mets. Steve Cohen will be the next owner of the New York Mets as long as 23 of 30 owners vote yes to it. There should be no issue here. New York has only made it to the playoffs 3 times in 16 seasons, and now 17 seasons, most likely they're going to miss it 3 out of 17 seasons, as the owners of the franchise. They made it to the playoffs in 2006, lost it in the NLCS to the St. Louis Cardinals in 7 games. In 2015, the Kansas City Royals in the World Series in 5 games. And in 2016, a National League wildcard game against the San Francisco Giants 3-0. Cohen is ready to spend money and make massive changes. The first massive change he's going to make is fire general manager Brodie Van Wagenen. But I read something online that if it doesn't come to like November, December, this vote, he's probably going to hang on to him because of the stability he wants to bring to the franchise. He probably has a big list who he wants to hire as the next general manager. Send the moves he must make is sign outfielder George Springer, catcher JT Realmuto, shortstop Francisco Lindor, starting pitcher Trevor Bauer, relief pitcher Liam Hendricks, extend outfielder Michael Conforto's contract, trade reliever Edwin Diaz, but he may not be traded with the way he's been reviving himself, outfielder Brandon Nimmo, and shortstop Ahmed Rosario. Outfielder J.D. Davis could potentially be on that list, and so could starting pitcher Steven Matz, second baseman Robinson Cano could be on the move as well, and they may not re-sign catcher Wilson Ramos. This will be a complete overhaul. I am curious to see if we will keep around manager Luis Rojas or if Steve Cohen will decide to bring in someone else though nonetheless. Next up, another MLB topic, the postseason bubble. We didn't think we would be able to make it through a week of baseball after all the positive coronavirus tests, let alone a full season. The MLB and the MLPA have agreed to do a postseason bubble. The last day for the regular season baseball is on Sunday, September 27th. Okay, so the wild card round of the MLB playoffs will begin on Tuesday, September 29th. Game 1 of the World Series at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas will be on Tuesday, October 20th. Wild card round, higher seed. It is a best of 3. NL Division winner number 1 versus NL wildcard number 2. NL second number 1 versus NL second number 2. We're in those series in the NLDS in Arlington, Texas for a best of 5. NL Division number 3 versus NL second number 3. NL Division number 2 versus NL wildcard number 1. The winner of those respective series will play in the NLDS in Houston, Texas. I'll get to the matchups in a minute, what it would be right now. The winner of the NLDS round will play in the NLCS in Arlington, Texas. Wild card round, higher seed city. It is a best of 3. AL Division number 1 versus AL wildcard number 2. AL second number 1 versus AL second number 2. The winner of those respective series will play in the ALDS in San Diego, California. AL Division number 3 versus AL second number 3. AL Division number 2 versus AL wildcard number 1. The winner of those respective series will be in Los Angeles, California. The ALCS will be playing in San Diego, California, though, nonetheless. So here are the current matchups in baseball. And number 8 seed, Cleveland Indians, 26-23 versus number 1 seed, Chicago White Sox at 32-17. I personally think the Cleveland Indians could pull an upset in that one. Number 5 seed, New York Yankees, 28-21 versus number 4 seed, Minnesota Twins, 31-20. First of all, the Yankees always beat the Twins in the playoffs. By the way, the Yankees are getting hot. Watch out for them. Number 7 seed, Toronto Blue Jays, 26-22 versus 2 seed, Tampa Bay Rays, 31-18. I'll take Tampa Bay, but I could see an upset with Toronto in this one. Number 6 seed, Houston Astros, 24-25 versus number 3 seed, Oakland Athletics, 31-19. I'll take the Oakland Athletics easily. In the hunt, Detroit Tigers, 21-27. Baltimore Orioles, 22-27. Seattle Mariners, 22-27. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 seeds are all 1 and 2 seeds. So 1, 2, and 3 seeds are the number 1 seeds. 4, 5, and 6 are the 2 seeds from those divisions. And then 7, 8 seeds are the top 2 teams remaining not in the first or second place in the American League or National League. Now here we go with the National League. Number 8, San Francisco Giants, 24-24 versus number 1 seed, Los Angeles Dodgers at 35-15. Number 5 seed, Miami Marlins, 25-22 versus number 4 seed, San Diego Padres at 32-19. Number 7, Philadelphia Phillies at 24-24 versus the Chicago Cubs at number 2 at 30-20. Number 6, Cincinnati Reds, 25-26 versus number 3 seed, Atlanta Braves at 24-21. And then in the hunt, in the National League, St. Louis Cardinals 22-23, Milwaukee Brewers 23-26, New York Mets 22-27, and Colorado Rockies 22-26. So that's all for the baseball talk. Yes. Game recaps. Dallas Stars, Vegas Golden Knights. A delay of game penalty may be ridiculous, but this is what cost Vegas Golden Knights the game. Dennis Guerrero scored on the game-winning power play goal just 3:36 in the overtime session, 6:24 in the first overtime. The goal was assisted by John Klingberg Rope Hintz, first time since 2000 the finals, lost 6 games to New Jersey Devils. Last one all in 1999 against the Buffalo Sabres in 6 games. Days of Ed Belfour and Mike Modano. Other goals in this game, first period goals. Vegas Chandler Stevenson, 8-14, assisted by Shea Theodore and Alex Tuck. No goals in second period. Riley Smith, 15 seconds in. Riley Smith, 15 seconds in, assisted by Paul Stastny. Dallas, Jamie Benn, 9:54, assisted by Alexander Radulov and Isaiah Lundell. Jamie Benn, the Heartbeat Heartsel of the Dallas Stars and the captain of that team. Very superstitious after that one because he simply did not want to touch the Western Conference trophy because there's all sorts of superstitions about it. And this guy, Joel Kiviranta, with 3:47 remaining regulation, does it once again in a clutch spot. 16-13 time elapsed in the third period, assisted by John Klingberg, Darius Gurianov, Anton Khudobin, 34 saves, Dallas Stars, Robin Leonard, 23 saves for the Vegas Golden Knights, though nonetheless. Next up, New York Islanders, Tampa Bay Lightning. It is a very simple formula for the Tampa Bay Lightning to win the series. Find a way to drag Brayden Point on the ice. Tampa Bay is 3-0 in this series. When he plays in the air, 0-2 when he doesn't. You don't believe me in that sport? Or superstitions aren't sometimes real? Sometimes? Well, just ask the New York Islanders about that in the last series. They were 4-0 against the Philadelphia Flyers when the game ended in regulation, and 0-3 when it went to overtime, though, nonetheless. Also, in 2018 with the Washington Capitals, Barry Trotz was down 3-2 in the series against Tampa Bay Lightning and came back to win it in Game 7, and eventually won the Stanley Cup in 5 games with the Washington Capitals against the Vegas Golden Knights in their inaugural season, though nonetheless. Jordan Eberle scored a game-winning goal for the New York Islanders with 7:30 remaining in the second overtime, and the final score was 2-1. 12:30 time elapsed. Eberle's goal was assisted by Anders Lee off a turnover by Kevin Shattenkirk. He's been pretty good in these playoffs, but one of the few times he made a mistake. First period goals. New York Islanders, Ryan Pulock, power play goal, 15:41, assisted by Nick Leddy, Matthew Barzal. Ryan Pulock's been pretty good in these playoffs. Second period goals, Tampa Bay, Victor Hedman. He's been fighting the back of the net several times. He has, I believe, 9 goals in these playoffs. Victor Hedman, 4 minutes into the third period, assisted by second period, Victor Hedman, 4 minutes in the second period, assisted by Blake Coleman, Luke Schenn, Semyon Varlamov, 36 saves for New York Islanders, Andrei Vasilevsky, 22 saves for the Tampa Bay Lightning, though nonetheless, and the Washington Capitals have hired Peter Laviolette as their coach, and I'm just going to say this very quickly, that if they don't make the playoffs, maybe Alex Ovechkin leaves next year. Heartbeat Hearts all of the Washington Capitals. Just keep an eye on that one because his contract is up. And maybe he decides to reunite with Barry Trotz. That's an interesting storyline to keep an eye on. Been to 3 Stanley Cup Finals. 1-1-06 with the Carolina Hurricanes against the Edmonton Oilers, Laviolette. And then 2 other finals, 2010 against the Chicago Blackhawks with the Philadelphia Flyers, lost in 6 games. And the Nashville Predators in 2017 against the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 games. Though nonetheless, in the one 2006 was in 7 games with the Carolina Hurricanes against the Edmonton Oilers, though nonetheless. Here we go very quickly into the Denver Clippers. Game 7. Very historic choke job by the Denver Nuggets, Los Angeles Clippers. There was a lot. I can't believe the Clippers lost. They had double-digit leads in all the games and lost. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic outplayed them, as did Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And the stats in this game was as simply as follows, and this was also the third time that Doc Rivers has won a 3-1 lead. And the final score in this game was 104-89. 2003 did it with the Orlando Magic, 2015 with the Clippers, and now here though nonetheless. Doc Rivers should be fired, but he's going to come back next year. They should not trade for Paul George. Oh, and Kawhi Leonard should have stayed with. He should have stayed with the Toronto Raptors. But I don't understand why he didn't. He had everything, but he had a whole country. But then you want to go play up against LeBron? I'm not sure about that one. So, Jamal Murray exploded for 40 points, 57.7% shooting from the field, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. Jokic, 16 points, 38.5% shooting from the field. Jokic, 22 rebounds, 13 assists, 3 shots, 2 steals. Leonard, George disappearing acts in the second half. Leonard, 14 points, 27.3% from the field, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 shot, 2 steals, blocked 1 shot, and recorded 2 steals. Paul George, 10 points, 25% shooting from the field. George got 4 rebounds, recorded 2 assists, blocked 1 shot, recorded 1 steal, though nonetheless. The stats in the game speak for itself because Kawhi Leonard and Paul George didn't score a single point in the fourth quarter. And Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum trolled them in the fourth quarter on Twitter, though, nonetheless. Yeah, Masai Ujiri is a guy that traded for Kawhi Leonard. Maybe should, as I just said, should have maybe stayed with Toronto. And now they want to look at maybe getting rid of Patrick Beverley or Montrezl Harrell, maybe Lou Williams or Paul George, and tweak it up a little bit. Maybe trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo or get Derrick Rose. A trade that works is Giannis Antetokounmpo and Eric Bledsoe for Paul George and Patrick Beverley. Though nonetheless, that's an interesting one. Western Conference Finals preview. Both of these teams played each other in the Western Conference Finals in 2009. The Los Angeles Lakers won that series over the Denver Nuggets in 5 games. That was when Carmelo Anthony and Chauncey Billups was with Denver, and George Karl was the head coach. Kobe Bean Bryant and Pau Gasol was with Los Angeles, and Phil Jackson was the head coach. The teams are obviously a lot different this time around. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray star power versus LeBron James, Anthony Davis star power. Kyle Kuzma gave a lot of respect to the Denver Nuggets because of how good they play and how they basically refuse to lose. The Nuggets have nothing to lose once again after coming back from 3-1 deficits against the Utah Jazz and Los Angeles Clippers. As for the Lakers, they have everything to lose. 2 X factors in the series for Denver will be Michael Porter Jr. and Gary Harris Jr. 2 X factors in the series for Los Angeles will be Danny Green and Rajon Rondo. Mike Malone lets his guys play loose for Denver Nuggets. Frank Vogel has his guys tight, but not too tight for the Los Angeles Lakers. This Cinderella story will end for Denver here, but Los Angeles' championship glory style run will continue and see the NBA Finals for the first time since 2010 when they defeated the Boston Celtics in 7 games, though nonetheless, to pick Los Angeles Lakers in 6. All right. I will get to the NFL Week 2 preview in just a minute. So another trade on the horizon is Drew Holiday to Brooklyn Nets for Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, Danza Musa, and protected first-round pick New Orleans Pelicans. Though nonetheless, this is according to Scoop B's Twitter page, at Scoop B's Twitter page, and this was posted at the Hoop Central's Twitter page. Though nonetheless, Miami-Boston Game 1 recap. 117-114 win by Miami. Heat were up 116-114 with seconds remaining, but Bam Adebayo blocked Jason Tatum, the RP Hardsell of the Boston Celtics. That was an amazing block. Adebayo, full hand on it. Jason Tatum couldn't believe he got rejected. Could have been the greatest block in NBA history. Magic Johnson thinks so. Some people think that the LeBron James block on Andre Iguodala in Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals was the best ever in a chase down against the 73-win Golden State Warriors. Goran Dragic, 29 points, 57.9% shooting from the field, 7 rebounds, recorded 4 assists, and blocked 1 shot. Bam Adebayo stats, 18 points, 41.7% shooting from the field, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 blocks, and 1 steal. Jimmy Butler stats, 20 points, 50% shooting from the field, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. Owen Butler had to go at 3 in the fourth quarter until there was a foul call. before the ball was inbound and Jason Tatum had to shoot a one-shot technical. I'm not sure about how that rule works. Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler stats 20 points, 50% shooting from the field, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. Jason Tatum stats 30 points, 41.7% shooting from the field, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 3 steals. Marcus Smart stats, 26 points, 50% shooting from the field, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. Kemba Walker stats, 19 points. He shot 31.6% from the field. Walker also grabbed 3 rebounds, recorded 6 assists, and blocked 1 shot, though, nonetheless. Now, here's the thing. Kemba Walker is holding himself accountable because he's like, I am not played well. And I said before this series began, I don't know if you guys were tuning into Monday's show, but let me just say this. I said the Miami Heat are going to win this series in 5 games simply because I think Kemba Walker, and it showed in the last series too against Toronto Raptors, he didn't play great. And I think that's going to be the reason why they're not going to go to the NBA Finals. And I know people saying, well, Kemba Walker's a better fit with Kyrie Irving. Yeah, that's partially true. But isn't this why you brought Kemba Walker in, to be better than Kyrie Irving, make better plays? Certainly ain't seeming like it right now. And y'all think I'm crazy about that. But no, it's not the case. Because if you tune in and listen to my shows or my replays, then you would hear about what I had to say about Kemba Walker and other things, though, nonetheless related to me believing that the Miami Heat will win this series in 5 games, though, nonetheless. Now, here we go. Drum roll, please. Welcome to my NFL Week 2 predictions. So, usually what I do, since it's the second week, I will go over what I did right and wrong from last week. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that by far, last week was probably my worst week at predicting games ever here on this show. I went 6-10. Ouch. Hopefully I have a much better week this week and try to get myself over 500. Let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns have a huge Week 2 showdown on Thursday night. Cincinnati has nothing to lose with Joe Burrow, and Cleveland has everything to lose with Baker Mayfield. The Browns were embarrassed, and the Bengals should have won in Week 1. As they say, you make improvements from Week 1 to Week 2. Cleveland has way more talent than Cincinnati does. This should be a comfortable and easy win for the Cleveland Browns, but could they out-Brown themselves rather than the Bengals out-Bengling themselves? We will see, but the Cleveland Browns will win this game over the Cincinnati Bengals by a score of 24-13, and if Baker Mayfield plays bad again, keep an eye on Case Keenum tonight, but I think the Cleveland Browns should win this game by a score over the Cincinnati Bengals by a score of 23-13. Game of the week, New England Patriots and Seattle Seahawks. These two teams have some feisty battles in the past, but the New England Patriots' Cam Newton will look to keep Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks on the sidelines as long as possible. This could be one of the fastest games played, and Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll are two of the brightest head coaches in the NFL. Played each other in the Super Bowl a few years ago. Remember the Russell Wilson interception on the goal line? That was by Malcolm Butler now, instead of handing the ball at Marshawn Lynch, but that's old news. When they had Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. Seattle has more playmakers on the outside than New England does, and that will be the difference in this game. The Seattle Seahawks will win this game over the New England Patriots by a score of 20-16. By the way, my condolences to New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick on the passing of his mother. So, my condolences are with you. So, my upset special of the week is the Los Angeles Rams over the Philadelphia Eagles. The Los Angeles Rams and Jared Goff looked efficient on offense last week, and the Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz did not. If the Rams don't win, it isn't the end of the world, but if the Eagles lose, it is going to be a major problem, and maybe panic time will loom large in selling the city of brotherly love by the media, radio members, and fan base for head coach Doug Peterson to bench quarterback Carson Wentz for rookie Jalen Hurts, and this could be one of the reasons why general manager Howie Roseman drafted Hurts in the second round. though nonetheless. Los Angeles is more healthy with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, or Philadelphia with Jalen Reagor, Deshaun Jackson. Tyler Higbee and Zach Ertz are solid, though nonetheless. Dallas Goedert and Van Jefferson will be X factors in this game. So will the line of scrimmage, and Miles Sanders could be back, so could Lane Johnson, and Cam Akers actually did a decent job running the ball, but so did Bryce Brown. The Los Angeles Rams will win this game over the Philadelphia Eagles by a score 27-21. Blowout of the week. San Francisco 49ers versus the New York Jets. The San Francisco 49ers, came off a bad loss in week 1, but they are still a very good football team, though. The New York Jets are abysmal, and I would expect Sam Darnold to be roughened up all day long. Jimmy Garoppolo in the ground game will get going early and often with Raheem Mostert. Luckily, there are no fans allowed at MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, because everyone would be calling for head coach Adam Gase to be fired. And Kyle Shanahan, obviously, his job is safe, though, nonetheless. The San Francisco 49ers will win this game over the New York Jets by a score of 38-10. Use promo code 12OZ Sports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. All right, on to the rest of the games. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. The winner in this game will temporarily be in first place in the AFC South. Tennessee is more of a contender, obviously, than Jacksonville is. The Titans defense could very well smash Gardner Minshew II into the ground. He actually played very well last week against the Indianapolis Colts. But I think the Tennessee Titans have a much better roster than the Colts do, and the Titans have a much better offense than the Colts do. Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill will be on point on offense in this game and get their wide receivers more involved, though, nonetheless. And Derrick Henry usually gets ramped and pumped up for these kind of games, because he hasn't done a number on the Jacksonville Jaguars in the past. The Tennessee Titans will win this game over the Jacksonville Jaguars by a score of 27-16. Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers will look to be in second place in the NFC South. Carolina's offense actually looks pretty good in week 1, and Tampa Bay's offense seemed out of sync. Carolina made a big mistake calling a run play at the end of the game, not with Christian McCaffrey, and that's why they lost. And Matt Rule owned it up to him. I mean, you got the best running back in the game in Christian McCaffrey, and you want to run with a fullback up the middle. It's not college. Come on, Rule. You're not at Baylor University or Temple University anymore. All right. Teddy Bridgewater and Christian McCaffrey will put up some points in this one, but Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette, and company will be much more in sync for this game. Chris Godwin is in concussion protocol, and he may be out a few weeks. Bruce Arians called out Tom Brady after the game on Sunday and some other times, and he said to the media that he and him are fine and that no one else should really worry. Brett Favre and some others, legendary Green Bay Packers quarterback, spoke on the matter. And Bruce Arians' bunch will be better in this game, and Matt Rule's bunch will get another tough lesson in this game, though, nonetheless. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win this game over the Carolina Panthers by a score of 30-16. Denver Broncos versus Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense is ready to pop in its second week with Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback and Benny Snell Jr. in the backfield. This wide receiver group will be a problem for Denver's secondary. AJ Boyd is probably not playing this week. Denver might be the most injury-prone team in the league right now. Could it maybe be because they're in a high altitude? It doesn't seem like a lot of these other teams are really banged up. But they seem to be banged up. And it's going to probably bode well for Pittsburgh. Drew Lock will play well for the Broncos, but his defense or offensive line isn't going to help him out, even though they need to. One of the key matchups in this game is Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, Chase Claypool, and Deontay Johnson against the secondary. Maybe Eric Ebron gets going because the Titans had some success at tight end. And Ben Roethlisberger maybe puts up 300, 400 yards this week. The Pittsburgh Steelers will win this game by a score of 34-16. And it's not going to matter despite how banged up the Steelers' offensive line is, truth be told. And the Pittsburgh Steelers should win this one potentially easily by a score of 34-16. Over the Denver Broncos, though, nonetheless. Next up, Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. Josh Allen was wildly erratic at times last week against the New York Jets, but he's going to find a way to get the job once again. But he's going to find a way to get the job done once again for the Buffalo Bills. Former teammate of his, Shaq Lawson, who's now in the Miami Dolphins, basically he's got nothing but mad respect for him. And he's like he's a dog. He's getting better. And speaking of quarterback play, if Ryan Fitzpatrick plays bad once again for the Miami Dolphins, will we see Tua Tagovailoa in this game or the next one, or does head coach Brian Flores wait on it? The defenses are going to be ready to roll. Buffalo's defense and Miami's defense, they both played pretty well last week. Miami just made a couple more mistakes than the New England Patriots did, and that's why they lost. Buffalo will try and get Stephon Diggs more involved in the offense more. Sean McDermott's defensive bunch will outpunish Miami's offensive line unit. Though nonetheless, the Buffalo Bills will win this game by a score of 23-17. Minnesota Vikings versus the Indianapolis Colts. Both of these teams' defenses were both awful in week 1. Kirk Cousins is better at this point in time than Phillip Rivers. Dalvin Cook will outplay Jonathan Taylor. Adam Thielen will also outplay T.Y. Hilton. Keep an eye on these two receivers for each team. For the Minnesota Vikings, keep an eye on rookie receiver Justin Jefferson, who didn't get a whole lot of targets and receptions last week. Maybe he gets more this week. And Paris Campbell, who got a lot for the Indianapolis Colts, maybe gets some more by Phillip Rivers. I think the difference in this game will be the Minnesota Vikings offensive line play and tight end play. Both of these defenses aren't as cracked up as they are made out to be. The Vikings secondary is really young, and it's going to take time for them to gel. And as for the Indianapolis Colts, their defense is probably going to be on the field more than it wants to be. The Minnesota Vikings will win this game over the Indianapolis Colts by a score of 35-28. Detroit Lions against the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers will look to gunsling it to Davante Adams, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Allen Lazard, and others. Aaron Jones can also run the ball effectively for Matt LaFleur's bunch, though nonetheless, Matthew Stafford needs Kenny Golladay back in the lineup because he missed last week. Because if not, they will lose this game once again. DeAndre Swift dropped the game-winning touchdown pass, and he needs to be better. And they need to move on from the Chicago Bears' blown loss. Detroit continues to outline themselves. I mean, how many times have you seen the Detroit Lions blow leads in many cases and in several instances? I mean, Detroit Lions fans are like, we're going to outline ourselves. We're a bad run organization. We need to sell the team. We need Matt Patricia fired. Why do we fire Jim? Excuse me. Why did we fire Jim Caldwell? Why did we do this? Are you going to move on from Matthew Stafford? I mean, I don't understand what you're doing if you're the Lions. I mean, as they say, they're sometimes like the New York Mets. They play well enough just to lose. That's the case a lot with the Detroit Lions. So, the Green Bay Packers will win this game easily over the Detroit Lions, though, nonetheless, by a score of 41-23. The Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys. This game is going to be a shootout between the Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys. Matt Ryan and Dak Prescott will air it out. The difference in this game is going to be which defense can make more plays. What a shock. When it comes to those offensive shootouts, it's going to come down to which defense makes one more play or two than the other defense. Dallas has a little bit more talent than Atlanta on the defensive side of the ball, though, nonetheless. And that will be the difference in the game, as the Dallas Cowboys will take down the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 35-33. New York Giants against the Chicago Bears. Daniel Jones and the offensive line could be in for a long day against the Chicago Bears defensive front. Saquon Barkley was called up by Tiki Barber. Barkley is not a 3-down back, and he's potentially overrated, and another Todd Gurley II in the making. But there was someone out on Twitter, New York Giants fan. He has excellent podcasts, GSN Ethan, and he talks about maybe this is the game that Saquon Barkley rushes for 250 yards. That's not happening. Get out of here. He's not rushing for 250 yards. Now, Daniel Jones may be able to have a better chance of rushing for 250 yards if he runs out of the pocket than Saquon Barkley does. That I could say. I could tell you that Daniel Jones would have a better chance of rushing for 250 yards than Saquon Barkley does. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, that's just me being foolish. You know what I call myself right now? You know the old thing of the hashtag no filter, Glenn? Can I call myself Shaqtin' a Fool? That's what I call myself on here. I don't know if you know that segment on TNT sometimes by Shaq and Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, Shaqtin' a Fool. Yes, I was Shaqtin' a Fool there. No, but seriously, Saquon Barkley's probably got a better chance for 250 yards than Daniel Jones does. I mean, come on. Now he could probably throw for 250, 300 yards again this week. But let's see what happens. I'm afraid, for the New York Giants' sake, that Khalil Mack may have a couple of sacks and a forced fumble. Mitchell Trubisky will look good enough for Chicago's bunch in order to win the game for Maggie's bunch over Joe Judge's bunch, though, nonetheless. And now I'm saying this, hashtag no filter, Glenn Shaqtin' a Fool, saying that I don't think Mitchell Trubisky may necessarily outplay Daniel Jones. That may not happen. But what may happen is, because the Giants' defensive personnel is not very good, that Mitchell Trubisky is going to do just enough like he did against Detroit Lions last week and get the job done. And yeah, I know that the team's kind of pedestrian with him at the quarterback position. And had they lost last week, had they not come back last week, this would have been a make it or break it week for Mitchell Trubisky. And had he not won this game, hypothetically speaking, that would have caused problems. Say like Chicago media would have got all nuts. Nick Foles. So, the Chicago Bears will win this game over the New York Giants by a score of 16-13. This is hashtag no filter, Glenn. And no, this is not a Shaqtin' a Fool kind of take. Next up, the Washington football team against the Arizona Cardinals. This is a big story heading into week 2. Both Washington and Arizona were both in last place in their respective divisions last season. The winner of this game will be 2-0, and it could be a lot of story headlines for the upcoming weeks to come, though, nonetheless. The Washington football team will be prepared to play, but their defensive front won't have the same success against the mobile and the mobility of Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Look at what happened to San Francisco 49ers defensive front. They looked invincible. Dwayne Haskins will not be able to keep up with this offense. Cliff Kingsbury may not be as good of a head coach as Ron Rivera is. But Terry McLaurin will need to step up on the offensive side of the ball for the Washington football team's offense. Because if not, it will be a long day. They will be in for a long day. The offense against the Arizona Cardinals, though, nonetheless. The final score in this game with the Arizona Cardinals will win this game over the Washington football team by a score of 31-20. Baltimore Ravens versus the Houston Texans. The Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, could very well put up points effortlessly against the bad Houston Texans defense like it did against the Cleveland Browns. But this is a trap game for the Baltimore Ravens with the Kansas City Chiefs coming up. Deshaun Watson will be on his heels all game long and struggle to go get points. The Ravens have a breakout star, J.K. Dobbins, also along with having Mark Ingram in the backfield, Marquise Brown, a wide receiver, and a tight end starting to make it, Mark Andrews, who could very well be the third best tight end in the NFL once the season's over, other than Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs and George Kittle of San Francisco 49ers. Will Fuller DeVee, Randall Cobb, David Johnson, and others aren't the answer for the Houston Texans. John Harbaugh will be out-coaching Bill O'Brien by the third quarter, though, nonetheless. The Baltimore Ravens will win this game easily over the Houston Texans by a score of 40-20. The New Orleans Saints against the Vegas Raiders. This is the first game for the Vegas Raiders at the new Alliance Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada for Monday Night Football on ESPN. Though, nonetheless, New Orleans will not have Michael Thomas due to a high ankle sprain, but Drew Brees still has Emmanuel Sanders and Jared Cook. Derek Carr will struggle to get the ball to Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, the running back in the backfield who had 3 touchdowns last week against Carolina Panthers. Very impressive. And Henry Ruggs the second. The New Orleans Saints defense is better than Las Vegas Raiders defense. The New Orleans will also win the line of scrimmage against Vegas. Here though, nonetheless, the New Orleans Saints will also win this game over the Vegas Raiders by a score of 26-20. So, I did some bold predictions last week for week 1. I thought I was pretty good with them. Here are my week 2 bold predictions. Bold prediction number 1. My first bold prediction and bold prediction number 1 is Joe Burrow outplays Baker Mayfield in a losing effort. Bold prediction number 2. The Tennessee Titans defense sacks Gardner Minshew II 3 to 4 times. The third bold prediction for week 2. Benny Snell Jr. rushes for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Number 4. Aaron Rodgers throws for either 4 or 5 touchdown passes in the first half. Number 5. Derek Carr outplays Drew Brees. I personally believe Brees is on the downside of his career. He didn't look that great against Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week, but Derek Carr looked fantastic against the Carolina Panthers, though, nonetheless. So, here's my last take for today. In the final 5 minutes of this show, NFL top 10 teams entering the second week of the NFL season. Now, as I've said, I do this every Thursday after I predict the games and bold predictions, but I didn't have my NFL top 10 teams last Thursday because I did it on the 100 show special. Number 10. And number 10 team in the NFL heading into week 2. Pittsburgh Steelers. Loved the way how they looked last week. Ben Roethlisberger and Benny Snell and others in the offense. Juju Smith-Schuster and James Washington looked pretty good. And the defense is ferocious. Front, they were not ranked in before week 1. Number 9, San Francisco 49ers. I'm not concerned yet, but if they lose to the New York Jets, sound the alarm, the panic button, whatever else. No, don't press the easy staples button with this team. The San Francisco 49ers were ranked at number 2 previously. Number 8, Seattle Seahawks, not ranked previously. The Seattle Seahawks You got Russell Wilson. Throw the ball, and I think he's going to win the MVP this season for the Seattle Seahawks. Number 7, Buffalo Bills. You got Josh Allen, a very good defense. They're looking to take the next jump. Maybe potentially win the AFC East this season. And they were last ranked number 9. Number 6, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, they just happened to lose to a very good New Orleans Saints football team. I still believe in Tom Brady and Mike Evans and a very underrated defensive front coached by Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles. You got Levante David and Vita Vea on defense. And their last ranking was number 5. Speaking of number 5, Green Bay Packers, last ranked number 10. I like the way Aaron Rodgers looked, and I potentially think this offense could look very good all year. Number 4, the Tennessee Titans, previously ranked at also number 4. I don't understand the disrespect that the Tennessee Titans get. I was surprised that Colin Cowherd of Fox Sports 1 didn't have it on his herd hierarchy. Little shocked about it, but I understand his views on it. Always think they're a mediocre 9-7 team, but he knows what he gets. But I'm like, I think the Tennessee Titans could potentially be a Super Bowl favorite as long as they get a pass rush, and as long as Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry and that offense play well. Number 3, other than the Tennessee Titans and A.J. Brown at offense, led by Derrick Henry. Number 3, the New Orleans Saints. They were previously ranked number 6. Number 2, the Baltimore Ravens at number 2 team in the league. The Baltimore Ravens, previously ranked 3rd. And number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs, also are ranked at number 1 last time. So again, number 10, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 9, the San Francisco 49ers. Number 8, the Seattle Seahawks. Number 7, the Buffalo Bills. Number 6, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 5, the Green Bay Packers. Number 4, Tennessee Titans. Number 3, New Orleans Saints. Number 2, Baltimore Ravens. And number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. And let's see how Ryan Tannehill and others play this weekend for Tennessee, along with Derrick Henry. And then we'll see what kind of performance Patrick Mahomes does at the new stadium. Oh, and I can't believe I forgot that game. So give me Kansas City over Los Angeles Chargers new stadium. Kansas City wins 34-20. And once again, my condolences are with Bill Belichick on the loss of his mother. So I'm excited for week 2 otherwise. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I'm your host, Glenn Kaplan. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and also your weekend as though nonetheless. I will be back on the air at the same time on Monday. I will also be going over game recaps from the second Thursday night and Sunday afternoon and night games, NBA and NHL recaps, potentially a Stanley Cup Finals preview, and other topics across the NBA and the NHL, the MLB, and maybe more merchandise though nonetheless. Potentially in the future though nonetheless. Alright, use promo code Tobos Esports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie.
Are you ready for the King of the Ice? Pete's Power Plays with Philly Pete starts now on 12 Ounce Sports.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Thursday, September 17th, 2020 episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only, King of the Ice himself, Philly Pete, and we are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Good afternoon, my East Coast family, rise and shine out west. Good morning out there. Welcome. What can I say? Welcome. I hope everyone's having a great Thursday. Prayers down south. All my prayers are going down south right now for Hurricane Sally. All those that are getting impacted right now, my prayers and thoughts are with you and your family during these hectic times. Stay strong, stay safe. We're all out here praying for you and wishing for the best for all you guys out there. So stay safe, and all my prayers and thoughts are with you and yours truly. So there you have it. Pete's Power Plays, this show, as always, sponsored by MyBookie.ag. When going to MyBookie.ag, please make sure you use the promo code 12ounce sports. That's 12OZ sports, all one word, when making your first deposit today, and they'll match it up to $1,000. Simple as that. You really don't want to be first off, you really don't want to be missing your chance to be cashing out tons and tons of money right now from all of our plays, including yours truly. I know I've been on a roller coaster so far, but again, there's so many other cappers on Twitter, so many other cappers within 12-ounce sports that are playing really well too. And but once again, those that want to start getting their pockets grown with some green, MyBookie.ag is the way to go. Use the promo code 12ounce sports. Once again, 12OZ sports, and you'll be rocking and rolling from there. They'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. Zingo TV, channel 761. Ladies and gentlemen out there, thank you for tuning in to the Thursday, September 17th episode right now of Pete's Power Plays. Those that don't have Zingo TV, make sure to download the app on your smart TV. And when doing so, make sure you use the promo code 12ounce, 12OZ, simple as that. And from there, you'll be streaming live, not only my phenomenal show with my phenomenal voice, but everybody else's show on 12-ounce sports. Simple as that. Once again, Zingo TV, channel 761. Thank you for all of you out there that are tuning in right now, listening to my Thursday, September 17th episode. So, yesterday we talked about a preview of Game 6. I'm going to talk more about that today. I got NFL Week 2 daily fantasy football lineups and players that I am targeting. Also, Thursday Night Football daily fantasy lineups as well, players that I'm targeting as well. Clients. Make sure to be on the lookout for your daily fantasy football lineups for tonight. I got a nice card for you all, so I know you all are patient. So just be ready for it to the show. I have it dropped, but it's also subject to change. Okay, when it comes into my lineups, I usually have one lineup ready to rock, but usually during the course of the day, I'm looking at other scenarios that I like, matchups, of course, between running backs and defenses, quarterbacks and defense, the whole shebang with that. And at the end of the day, it always comes down to stats and research when it comes to daily fantasy. So be on the lookout for your card. I'm going to drop it to my clients probably around 7 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock out west. It's usually about an hour before kickoff. So you'll have it by then, and those players will be final. So there you have it. Again, players are always subject to change when I do my lineups. Like I said, I will also give out another Thursday Night Football daily fantasy lineup for the Twitterverse as well. Last week, we cashed out 94% percentile, I should say, for Thursday night. Clients were happy right off the bat. So, listen, I want to give back, and I want to give you guys a nice Thursday night fantasy football lineup for either FanDuel or DraftKings, one or the other, whatever it may be. But I will personally give out a Twitterverse lineup for FanDuel only. Clients will get FanDuel and DraftKings because that's how it goes. So, but again, look out for those lineups. And, of course, my NHL plays for tonight as well. Again, we have Game 6 tonight, Tampa Islanders. It's 8 o'clock Eastern time in Toronto, of course. And let's go. Let's get into it. This is my first topic of the day. First and foremost, a recap of my NHL season so far in general. We all know this, as I mentioned on the show yesterday. But right now, my NHL season stands at 632 wins, 475 losses, and 30 pushes. That gives me a grand total of plus 130 units overall. This is including playoffs and the regular season. I have over 1,100 plays that I've had since September. Everything is combined. It's always been combined since I've been a capper with the NHL. And, my success speaks for itself. Record in units, like I said, last year we were up over 85 units. This year we're up about 100, exactly at 130 units. So, again, very successful compared to last year. Same clients that I had last year compared to this year are racking up the dough. So, again, record and units don't lie. We've been killing it this season so far. So, there you have it. Now, let's get into it real quick. Game number 6 on the line. First off, Braden Point. Game time decision tonight. A lot of speculation is saying that he is going to be out again for Game 6, but there's been an update per sources, and he is now it's a game time decision. If he's ready to rock, he's ready to rock. But you know what? I just think this is a crucial game for Tampa. I really do. Now, like I said, you have momentum. You absolutely have momentum with the Islanders, obviously winning Game 5, a very nice Game 5. But I think that this is a crucial Game 6 for Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I'm thinking to myself, hey, maybe like this is a crucial game for the Islanders, but the fact that Braden Point brings so much energy to the Lightning playing, it just really, really helps out this Tampa Bay squad. And not having him again tonight, it just I'm not sure what to think. Islanders should take advantage again if Point's not playing tonight. But rest assured, this is a game time decision for Braden Point. I really hope that he's on the ice tonight. If it's not, if he doesn't have his typical shifts, just the fact that he's on the ice to produce some sort of help to the team, a little boost for the offense, it always helps. So you might not, if he does play tonight, you're not getting a 100% Braden Point. You're probably not going to get even an 85% Braden Point. You're probably going to get a 75% Braden Point if he is playing tonight. So keep a lookout for that. Again, he's going to be a game time decision player for Tampa. But with that being said, Tampa Bay, New York Islanders, 70% of the money. I did say this yesterday that Tampa was at 60% of the money. Now it's risen to 70% of the money is rocking on the Tampa Bay money line at minus 160. A little juicy, but I still like it. I know I did mention the Islanders +1 yesterday, but the more research and stats I looked at, Tampa has to win this game. They are going to bounce back for sure. But like I said, it went up 10%. It went up big time from yesterday. You had 60% yesterday in the money. You have 70% of the money now flowing into Tampa Bay's direction. That's huge. That is a huge shift overnight. Within a day, I should say, from the last time I talked to you guys yesterday, about 24 hours ago. That is a big shift. Tampa Bay minus 160, 70% of the money is rocking on Tampa money line. New York Islanders plus 145 on the money line, and that's 30% of the money is going to the Islanders. So of course, things have shifted towards Tampa Bay. Now, we know the over-unders in this series have been come and go. We saw, a tight game last game in game 5 with an under. These teams are about even. 4-5-1 for Tampa, 4-4-2 for the Islanders in their last 10 when it comes to playoff hockey. So, again, the bubble is the real deal. Islanders covering the puck line, 18-26, of course, cashing out the game the other night. Tampa 19-24 when covering the puck line. And, of course, they did not cover last game. So, over-under set at 5 at minus 130. Again, I expect another low-scoring affair. This is a game's pivotal Game 6. I really do see defenses stepping up once again. Okay, and speaking of over-unders, the under is rocking 65% of the money right now. So if you're looking for over/under bet, I do like the under 5 in this game. If you have the under 5, if you have 5.5 even at plus 115. Hey, more power to you, but that's a good under as well. If you have under 5.5, absolutely take that. But most of the books on the line right now have over/under set at 5. I'm on the under 5 as well. Again, 65% of the money is rocking on the under 5. 35% is rocking on the over 5. So there you have it, and the numbers and percentages speak for themselves. So once again, 70% of the money is rocking on the Tampa money line. 30% is rocking on the Islanders money line at plus 145. 65% of the money rocking on the under 5, and 35% of the money is rocking on the over 5. So again, I am absolutely liking the under 5 in this game at minus 130. I really do think that we're going to see another low-scoring affair. Again, this comes down to a best of 3 now. Literally, this comes down to a best of 3. Specifically for the Islanders. They got to win 2 in a row. Tampa has to win 1, and they're in. But again, this is what it comes down to. I see another nitty-gritty affair tonight, especially if Braden Point comes back. I think Tampa truly wins this game here, and I really, really do think that they're going to take advantage of Point being there, helping them out a little bit, even though he's not 100%. We all know that, but I think at the end of the day here, I think Tampa will wrap this series up. And especially if Point is playing, and like I said, a huge shift of money is going Tampa's line. It's tough. it's tough to go against that now. Like I said, 24 hours ago, you saw 60-40. You saw almost a split. But the fact that you see 70-30 now, that's a huge shift in favor of Tampa Bay. So I do like Tampa. I do think Tampa will wrap things off. They know if they lose this game tonight that, hey, listen, they don't want to have a game 7. And that's what I said the other day. I said they don't want to keep New York in this series, and they have. And they did. Now we're talking game 6. So Dallas has another day to rest. They're going to be ready to go come game 1. I know that. So a lot of rested skates for Dallas, which would more than likely be a lean for me when the Cup predictions and my previews and breakdowns come for that. Once we get an Eastern Conference representation. So tonight, once again, over under set at 5. I like the under 5 in this game at minus 130. 65% of the money is rocking on the under 5 as well. So this is where the money is going, and I do like the under 5 as well. Again, you're going to see another nitty-gritty sort of game. Defenses will show up. We know this. Goaltenders should more than easily be on their best behaviors tonight in net as well, because it's a very crucial game 6. And we know history that the unders do usually hit. And look at game 5. We saw 2-1 final and double overtime. So, and again, Braden Point is a big deal for this game tonight for Tampa. Again, if he's on the ice, I think Tampa closes this out. But again, that compared to yesterday when I was going to give the matter of fact to the Islanders at plus 1.5 on the puck line, +1, that's still a good play for me. But I really do think that the way the money has been shifting, I do like Tampa at minus 160 to wrap this show and advance to the Stanley Cup Finals to play the Dallas Stars. And hey, clients, don't be scared, all right? Clients that have from back in September when they had the 9-1 ticket for Tampa to represent the East in the Stanley Cup Finals, we already have one. Clients already had the Dallas Stars 18-1 already representing the West, so they're already good there. So let's get Tampa rocking. Let's get it, Tampa Bay. Let's rock. Let's cash out. Let's end the series tonight against the Islanders. Because game 7, it's going to be do or die for any team now, But Braden Point, of course, is key. Game time decision for Point himself. Expect him, if he does play tonight, absolutely not to be 100%. You're probably going to look at 70-75% of Braden Point's activity, basically playing on the ice, not doing much, just basically being a mannequin for the most part. So, but in conclusion here, once again, I do like the under 5. I do like Tampa Bay to wrap up the series at minus 160 on the money line. Again, 70%. That's a huge turnaround. It's such a huge turnaround. It really is within a day. 10% went up within 24 hours of me talking about this the other day when it's 60-40 is basically split. 70-30 now. So again, I'm on Tampa Bay money line at minus 160. I also like the under 5 in this game as well. I'm also going to take a shot here with Tampa Bay first period to lead 1-0 after 1. So or if you want, have Tampa Bay to basically win, or if you have first period bets, Tampa first period minus a half goal. So they basically have to be up by a goal, 1-0 or whatever it may be, 2-1. Either way, they have to be leading after the first period. I really do think Tampa comes out tonight firing. And again, I do like the under. I like Tampa to win this game as well. Look for a Tampa side bet on my Twitter list. And there you have it. So Dallas, Tampa, let's get this going. My clients will be guaranteed cash at the end of the Stanley Cup. So it's going to be a very enjoyable Stanley Cup Finals to watch. So again, we'll see what happens. But again, those that are just tuning in, Tampa money line minus 160, the under 5, and again maybe a little side bet, Tampa first period to be winning after 1. So there you have it. That concludes that segment of the show. But before I talk about my daily fantasy football players and players that I'm looking after for Thursday night and Sunday, this show, Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only king of the ice himself, Philly Pete. We are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Good afternoon, everyone out there in the East. Good morning out there in the West. This show, as always, is sponsored by MyBookie.ag. Please use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports when making your first deposit today, and they'll match it up to $1,000. You really, now that sports are all back, Now, you really don't want to be missing your chance to be cashing out large. And, what can I say? What better way to start cashing large than mybookie.ag? Once again, 12-ounce sports, all one word as your promo code, and they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. Also, Zingo TV, channel 761. I hope everyone out there is tuning in right now, hearing my lovely voice. But those that don't have Zingo TV, make sure you download the app on your smart TV. Use the promo code 12ounce, 120Z, when setting up an account. And from there, you'll be streaming live all of our phenomenal shows on 12-ounce sports, including yours truly, Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only, Philly Pete. So again, those that are tuning in, channel 761, Zingo TV, welcome aboard. Now, here we go. We're going to get into this. We're going to get into it real quick right now. I want to talk about fantasy football lineups for tonight and Sunday. Especially for Sunday, I'm looking at a couple of players that I have right now. Tonight, I want to give you guys some players as well that I'm going to be eyeing up. Again, subject to change, of course, so you'll get my lineups about an hour before kickoff. So that's going to be plenty of time to get your lineups in FanDuel or DraftKings, whatever you all use. But again, my lineup tonight for Thursday night will be for FanDuel. So there you have it. Again, those that are just tuning in, we did cash out 94 percentile last Thursday night. So, cashing out large already to begin the season. But and then afterwards, I want to talk about my play of the day for Sunday. I have one team circled. I have a 1.5 unit play on already, locked and loaded. I will talk about that, and then of course I will give you my little primetime play for tonight. Philly Pete's primetime play, quadruple P play of the evening between Cincinnati and Cleveland. This is going to be a fun game between Burrow and Mayfield. So we'll see what happens. But on that note here, Thursday Night Football daily fantasy lineups. Let's crack it up now. So I'm looking at 3 players here, and you gotta go both quarterbacks. Most of the times with fantasy, especially Thursday nights or Sunday nights and Monday nights, when you have a short lineup and you can play 2 quarterbacks as flexes, I really think that you gotta take both quarterbacks in the situation here. Of course, Cleveland D and Cincinnati D's are not the best. That's why tonight I have Baker Mayfield. I have Joe Burrow in my lineups tonight for both FanDuel and DraftKings. Also, Mr. Nick Chubb himself. You got to add Chubb to both lineups as well. I highly, highly recommend that play a lot, and those 3 players for sure. So Mayfield, Burrow, and Nick Chubb should be your 3 automatic players. So you're inserting into your lineups for FanDuel and DraftKings. Now, speaking of MVP rankings, I usually do MVP rankings as well. I have Baker Mayfield as my number 1 overall. I have Nick Chubb as number 2. I have Joe Burrow as number 3, and then Joe Mixon at number 4. Now, Mixon may or may not be in my lineup that I have, but if you're talking about 1.5 times the number, of course, for MVP that you have in FanDuel, Baker Mayfield I think is the way to go. I think he bounces back against this Cincinnati defense here. And again, quarterbacks are always key when it comes to daily fantasy, especially, like I said, Thursday nights, Sunday nights, and Monday nights when you have that 1.5 times MVP multiplayer that you have. And Baker should do pretty well. Now, if you want to think otherwise, I really think that, now Odell, obviously you haven't heard Odell's name in a while, so he may or may not be in my lineup as well. I do like him though. I do like him in my lineup. I do, but like I said, this is all subject to change. But like I said, I like Baker, Chubb, Burrow, and Mixon as my top 4 for my MVPs. And now when I'm looking at the rest of the rankings here, I'm adding in, of course, you gotta have Tyler Boyd in the mix. You gotta have Kareem Hunt in the mix. Austin Hooper, it's tough to trust him. He only had 2 catches last week. Not sure what to expect from him. Actually, I have no idea what to expect from him. So he's off my list, Austin Hooper, for now. Again, subject to change. But I do like Kareem Hunt. I do like Tyler Boyd. Also, Odell Beckham as well. And like I said, that's just the little cream of the crop extras that you want to add in. Also, Thursday night football games are so, they're always hit or miss. They're always sloppy. So that means you could also see a ton of field goals in this game as well. That's why both kickers are also on my list. and Randy Bullock and Cody Parkey, respectively, representing those two squads as kickers. So, of course, I always like taking unders in Thursday Night Football. And, of course, week 1, it cashed out by the hook, literally. So tonight, again, I like the under 43.5. Some books are even at 44. So I do like the under in that game. But, again, there you have it. Tonight, top players for me, Mayfield, Burrow, and Chubb. You can actually, if you want the 1.5 times MVP player, add one of those in. Like I said, Mayfield, Burrow, and Chubb. Personally, Mayfield or Chubb, I would add in that slot just to get a little bang for your buck. I really do like these guys to bounce back tonight, and we'll go from there. So there you have it. Again, Chubb, Mayfield, and Burrow should be in your lineups tonight for sure. And if you're not feeling Burrow, I would most likely add Joe Mixon in there as well. Even Tyler Boyd if need be. So there you go. All right, and now Sunday. Again, 3 guys that I'm looking at right now that I've literally thought about all week. Once I saw matchups, once I saw statistics, research, I really like Davante Adams this week against Detroit at home. I really think after week 1 blowing up against the Vikings, I think you blow up this Detroit Lions team. I'm sorry, Captain Lou out there tuning in if he is, but I really like the Packers this week at -5. But this means that a lot of Davante Adams. You're going to see a lot of Davante Adams this season, of course, because you had Devin Funchess. Sorry, just had a brain fart for a second. But yes, Devin Funchess, he opted out per COVID, of course, and he was on the Packers this season from Carolina. He opted out, which means, Davante Adams should and will have a huge season this year. Look what happened last week. I expect the same from Davante himself. In week 2 against Detroit, he is one of my main targets in daily fantasy on Sunday. Also, the Dallas Cowboys receiver Michael Gallup. I like him as well. I've been eyeing him up after last week against the Rams. I do like him to bounce back this week. He's also on my line. Also, another guy that I am eyeing up to put into my lineups. And last but not least, Kenyon Drake, Arizona Cardinals running back. Again, I absolutely liked what I saw from him last week as they upset the San Francisco 49ers. But again, my main guy right here is Davante Adams. He's going to be in all my lineups this weekend, I should say, for week 2. He's going to be in both DraftKings and FanDuel, 100%, 110%. I'm all over Davante Adams, and he should be in your lineups as well. And like I said, Michael Gallup and Kenyon Drake, I'm eyeing them up as well to be in my lineups. But once again, these are all subject to change. Again, but Davante is a guaranteed lock for this week, and I expect him to be in all your lineups as well. And let's cash out large this weekend for daily fantasy football. Now, from the last segment of the evening, or for the day, I should say, again, this is the Thursday, September 17th, 2020 episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only King of the Ice himself, Philly Pete. And again, we're live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. Good afternoon, my East Coast. Good morning, my West Coast. And welcome aboard. And I'm glad you guys are all tuning in right now, channel 761. Again, mybookie.ag, promo code 12 Ounce Sports, and they'll match your deposit up to $1,000. Zingo TV, channel 761. Those that are tuning in right now, welcome aboard. Like I said, those that don't, download the app, use the promo code 12 Ounce, and you'll be streaming all of our phenomenal shows on 12 Ounce Sports. So, like I said, I posted on my Twitter a couple days ago, I am on the Minnesota Vikings +3 as my play of the day on Sunday. This is a 1.5 unit play. I might even upgrade to 2 because I like this so much. I really think Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and the rest of the gang, Adam Thielen, and the boys in Minnesota, they do travel to Indianapolis, but there's no fans. So, again, I really think that Minnesota bounces back in this situation here, and I do like them to not only cover the +3, but also to win on the money line. But my play of the day is Minnesota +3. I love it. All the books right now are showing 3. I have a feeling that this is going to move down to 2.5 once the kickoff comes on Sunday. So, again, that makes you think that you have to buy the hook at 3, and you should. You absolutely should. So, give me Minnesota Vikings +3 and this is a 1.5 unit play for Philly Pete. So there you go. And like I said, my football season started pretty good in week 1, and here we go. So we're like I said, 4-2, and plus 1.75 units overall. So a very, very good start to the NFL season so far. 4-2, plus 1.75 units. And again, Minnesota Vikings +3. This is a 1.5 unit play for Philly Pete. And like I said, I would not be surprised if this moves to 2.5 by kickoff. So Minnesota at Indianapolis. Again, give me Minnesota +3 as a 1.5 unit play for yours truly. That is my play for Sunday. Now, talking about tonight's games. Listen, Cleveland looked like absolute doo-doo on the field last week against Baltimore. They got exposed. Baker did not look good. Odell did not look good. I mean, honestly, I think the best player that looked good was Nick Chubb. I mean, what is there else to say? The tight ends looked off. Njoku had a touchdown. Good for him. But, I think that this is a game where, hey, listen, Cleveland has to bounce back. And you think that they'll bounce back. But, and I do. I think they do. But +6, that's a good amount of money, right? That's a good amount of points right there for Cleveland to cover. I'm going to sway the other way here. I like Cincinnati +6 here. I do think Cleveland will win this game. I'm thinking more in terms of 24-20. I'm thinking Cleveland here. Maybe 23-20 just for the under 43.5 purposes. So give me Cleveland 23-20 tonight. I like the under 43.5. I also like Cincinnati +6 to cover. And like I said, some stats, some stats and all just doesn't make any sense here. We know that Cleveland laid a big giant egg, and obviously the worst week 1 defeat, and this team is laying 6 points to Cincinnati. Now Cincinnati should have beaten the Chargers last week. We all know that. And unfortunately, Randy Bullock came up with some sort of injury, if it's possible. But I think that there's no dog pound to worry about, and I really think that Burrow should come out on prime time. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun game to watch. And they're healthy on offense, Cincinnati, and they upped it on defense. So give me Cincinnati +6. Give me the under 43.5 as well. And I also like the final score to be 23-20 Cleveland. So again, +6 on Cincinnati. Give me the points. Give me the under 43.5. And I'm going to put a little side bet here. Cleveland to win 23-20. So we'll see what happens there. But that wraps up my show of Pete's Power Plays. Last episode for the week. I'll be back on Tuesday like always. And hope everyone has a great weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy yourselves this weekend. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.